Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today, I'm talking about some of my most disappointing RSD 2024 titles. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that we put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you've enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So now that I've had about a week to go over the record store day list, there's some titles on here that I was actually pretty disappointed in, either not being on there or them being on there in just the wrong format. But the first thing I'll say is there's typically a lot of live albums. It seemed like there was a ton more this year than there were in years in the past. It seems like about half of the list this year are all live albums. And I get, some live albums are pretty good, but I think for the most part, a lot of people buy live albums because they're completionists or they like some of the tracks. And I think a majority of people don't have a lot of interest in live albums. So I think that's one kind of big drawback to the list this year. One thing that I was really surprised by, and that is, so Record Store Day happens on April 20th this year. The day before, Taylor Swift is releasing her new album. I'm really surprised that she's not releasing a Record Store Day version of the new album. Pearl Jam is doing the same thing. Their new album, Dark Matter, comes out on the 19th. They're doing a Record Store Day version of it. What's the name of her new album? The Tortured Poets something? The Tortured Poets Department. That's the title of it. I'm really surprised that she's not doing an RSD version of it, because whenever she sells anything on Record Store Day, the lines are super long. She sells, 100,000 copies of whatever the release is in a single day. I'm really shocked that she's not taking advantage of that and having a version for Record Store Day, especially since, there'll be multiple versions of that album by the time it hits the shelves on the 19th. I'm also disappointed that there's not a big release this year. I was really expecting there to be like a Blues Traveler 4 or something along those lines. Maybe not like a gigantic album, but something that would really push people out to Record Store Days. Kind of what Taylor Swift albums have done the last couple of Record Store Days. I was really expecting there to be that one big album. Last year you had the Van Halen live album that really was that release, really pushed people out, but you don't really have that release this year. And then there are a few albums that are on the list that I was kind of disappointed in, either the way that they're releasing them or how much they're asking for it. There's some questions I've got about some of the RSD releases. The first one is The Top by The Cure. It's a RSD exclusive. There's 10,000 copies of this thing. It's going to run you almost $30 in store. So this is on a picture disc, and The Cure have done these picture discs over the last several years, and I get it. They all sound good. I bought Show. That was their picture disc release last year for Record Store Day, and it sounded really good. But, this is not Disintegration. It's not one of their bigger albums, and it's not Pornography. It's, not one of their best albums. It's probably my least favorite album that they released in the 80s. And, I think it's one that, you really could do without. I think, especially when it comes to The Cure, their later albums, their last, 3 or 4 albums aren't available on vinyl. I would love to see them do, yes, they did picture disc versions of a couple of them. I want to see them release standard releases of the rest of their catalog before they start going back and doing more of these picture disc releases. It's just, the Cure has long been one of my favorite bands, and it's just one of the things that's kind of irritated me over the last couple of Record Store Days that they've done. Another one that I was really disappointed in is this Mly Crew release, Supersonic and Demonic Relics. It's a RSD exclusive. There's 2,500 copies of it. It's going to run you around $35. It's another picture disc, and this is one that I'd love to see them do a standard release of. It's available on CD. You can pick it up and listen to it. I don't think picture disc, this is not something that needs to be a picture disc release. They could have just released this on black vinyl, and it would have sold great. It probably would have been one of the bigger movers for Record Store Day. It's one that, this is an RSD exclusive. I hope that they do a standard release here in the coming future. Another picture disc that really needs a standard release is the Offspring Splinter. This is RSD exclusive, limited 2,500 copies. It's going to run you about $36. This is, like I said, another one that really needs to have a standard release. This is an album that hasn't been released on vinyl since 2003. So we finally get a version of it available, and it's a picture disc. And like I said, this is one where they can kind of do what The Cure did with Show last year, which was they released Show for Record Store Day, and then later in the year, they released on standard vinyl. I hope they do the same thing with this one, because this one I'd love to have a copy of. But I'm not gonna pick up the picture disc. It's one that, like I said, over the next couple of months, hopefully we'll get a standard release of it. I know a lot of people out there are like me; they want to see that one get reissued. And then you've also got Def Leppard One Night Only live at the Lead Mill 2003. This is RSD first. There's 6,000 copies of it. It's gonna run you around $36. I get it. Def Leppard has some great live shows. They've got some great live albums. But instead of doing something from 2023, or I know they did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame concert also. They released both those for Record Store Day over the last couple of years. I'd love to see something earlier in their careers, around like the Pyromania, High and Dry years, where they still had that like harder edge to the band. I'd love to see something earlier in their career get released. I know they'll probably sell pretty well for Record Store Day. One that I've got on my disappointing list, but I probably still will pick it up. I talked in my video last week. This is Dio, The Last in Line. This is the RSD exclusive. 4,500 copies of it. It's going to have one of those Zoetrope picture discs, which looks really cool, but it's still a picture disc. What I'm seeing online for pricing, it looks like it's around $25. I expect it to be higher than that, though. I think 25 is pretty cheap when it comes to those Zoetrope picture discs. This is one where, it's Dio's highest charting album. It would sell really well on a standard release, and I get it. Last year, they released a couple of Dio albums on picture disc. You can still go to probably to your local record store and pick up those RSD picture discs. I don't think picture discs sell as well as I think labels think they do, maybe for Record Store Day. I guess they do sell because record stores buy them, and then they just kind of sit on the shelves in the record store for God knows how long. But anyway, I would love to see this. This is another one of those albums where I'd love to see a standard release of this get released over the coming months. And then you get one that I kind of scratched my head about. This is Lil Wayne, Sorry for the Wait. It's an RSD first, so probably will get reissued. 3,000 copies of it. This thing is going to run almost $50. And as far as like the Lil Wayne stuff goes, I understand the compilation that they released for Record Store Day Black Friday sold really well. This is not one of Lil Wayne's biggest albums, so I don't think it's going to sell all that well. It's a lot for this release. It's not a great album. That's kind of why I scratched my head about that one. When I was first going over the Record Store Day list, I saw that Fleetwood Mac was releasing Rumors. And I immediately thought to myself, this album has been reissued multiple times over the last few years. And then I saw it was on picture disc and made even less sense to me. But this is RSD exclusive. There's going to be 7,500 copies of this. Should be around $25 or so. It'll sell. I get it. But for $25, $30, you can buy a standard pressing of this that is going to sound better than the picture disc version. It's just how it is. So that's kind of one that I didn't really understand why they were doing it that way. I understand they've done all the alternate albums that they've done over the last couple of years. I think they even released an alternate box set. So they needed something to release for Record Store Day, but this, I don't know. Like I said, Rumors has been pressed to death over the last few years. And then you got Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die, the instrumentals. This is a RSD exclusive. There's 4,000 copies of this coming out. This is an album that when you buy Ready to Die, it's normally around $40 to $45. What I'm seeing online is only $25 for this. So I don't know if this is like a truncated version. First off, I don't get these whole instrumental rap albums. This is just going to be the beats, which I guess is kind of cool. But I don't know. I've got it on vinyl. If I'm going to listen to it, I'm going to listen to the entire album. I'm not going to listen to just the instrumental tracks. So I don't know. It's one of those where it feels like kind of a cash grab when it comes to releases like this. That's kind of the downside, I think, to Record Store Day, that I think pushes away a lot of the bigger, guys that have been collecting records for decades. I think it pushes a lot of them away because of releases like this. And then the last one on the list is this U2 Atomic City. This is a RSD first. It's 3,000 copies. It should be around $20-25. This is a 10-inch. I think it's only 2 tracks. From their shows they've been doing at the Sphere in Las Vegas. The only reason I have this on my list is because I would love to see them if they're going to do a release from the Sphere, do the entire show. Release the show on vinyl, release a Blu-ray and DVD version of it. I think that'd be really cool over just releasing a couple tracks. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think some of your most disappointing albums are for Record Store Day this year. And I guarantee there's people out there that are going to say the entire list. And I get that. I think this is not one of the best lists. I'm kind of up and down. I think there is some really good stuff on here, though. There's none of those big releases that I think would really push people out there to record stores. But I'm sure I'll still end up with at least 6 or 7 titles on Record Store Day. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.